Yoga Vasishtam.
Book 2. Mumukshu Kanda. Or The Means of Final Liberation. Chapter 9. Investigation of Acts. 1. Rama asked, "Will you, sir, that art versed in all knowledge, kindly explain the true sense of destiny in popular use?" 2. Vasistha replied, "It is a man's activity, and no other, O Ragheva, that is the cause of all his actions, and the recipient of their consequence, wherein destiny has nothing to do." 3. Destiny is a mere imaginary thing, which neither exists, nor acts nor feels their effects. It is neither seen nor regarded by anybody. 4. The good or bad result, which proceeds from the accomplished acts of successful activity, is expressed by the word destiny. 5. The wished for, and unwished for consequences resulting from the good and bad deeds of human activity, are termed the effects of destiny, by people. 6. Human activity, which is the only cause of some unavoidable future consequence, is called as destiny by the majority of mankind. 7. Truly, O Ragheva, destiny, though void as vacuity, appears as real to somebody, who thinks it to be an active agent, while others know it to be inactive. 8. Again, destiny is a mere saying uttered by men, upon the result of some good or bad effect of their actual exertion, that it is this which has produced the other. 9. It is my belief, and I have known it for certain, that destiny is no more than the word uttered by people upon their attainment of the object of their exertions. 10. Destiny is that word of consolation which is uttered by men, as significant of the good or evil which they meet with and which they call to be the effect of the other. 11. Rama asked, "How is it, sir, that you who are all-wise, do now contradict your own assertion that destiny is the result of the stock of our former acts, of past life?" 12. Vasishta answered, saying, "Well said, O Rama. You know everything. But hear me tell you the whole of it, whereby you will have a firm belief in the nullity of destiny." 13. All the various desires, which men may have entertained in their minds, before even those come to be accounted as his deeds, or mental actions, at last. 14. All animals are seen also to act according to their desires, and to do nothing to which an inclination was wanting in their natures. 15. As the villager goes to his village, and the townsman comes to the town, so it is the nature of the desire that leads men to their particular acts. 16. The keen and firm resolution, with which an act was done in the former state of life, that verily is termed destiny, in the successive births, or generations of living beings. 17. Thus are the acts of all active beings conformable with their natures, and the actions of men are in accordance to their desires. The desire is no other than the mind itself, and the mind is self-same with the human soul. 18. The mind is the soul, and cause of all acts which they call the doings of destiny. Certainly there is no other thing as destiny besides the mind. 19. This mind is verily the living soul, which acts as it desires, and enjoys accordingly the fruits thereof, and is same with destiny. 20. Know, Rama, that the mind, the heart, desire, action and destiny are synonymous terms, and applied by the virtuous to the unascertainable soul, evolved in these forms. 21. Now, whatever the so-named soul undertakes to do continually and with a firm resolution, it obtains the fruit thereof accordingly. 22. It is by means of the activity or exertion of this soul and by no other means, O support of Raghu's race, that it obtains everything, and may it lead you to your good only. 23. Rama said, being caught in the net of my pre-existent desire, I remain a captive to them, and do as they lead me to. Say then, O sage, what else I can do? 24. Vasishta replied. So, then O Rama, you will be able to reach to your lasting good, if you will but exert your activity for it, without which there is no other way to it. 25. These desires are of two kinds, some leading to good and others to evil. Hence, the desire of one's prior state must have been of one kind or other. 26. If you will be guided now by the pure desires of your nature, you will be gradually led by means of your good acts to attain the state of your lasting welfare. 27. But if your wrong inclinations tend to lead you to difficulties, you must try your best to overcome such propensities perforce. 28. You Rama, are wise and perfectly intelligent, and not composed of a dull, material, body only. Now if you should be in need of another's guidance, to waken your intellect, say where lies your own intelligence. 29. If you would have one to enlighten your understanding, say where is that another, to illumine him, and who is the other to illuminate him also. Hence, as no one is wholly devoid of understanding, let him improve it himself. 30. The current of our desires is flowing betwixt the two channels of good and evil. It must be, by exertion of our activity, that we must turn it to the right course. 31. You who are the mightiest of the mighty, must exert the force of your activity to turn your mind to a profitable course from its direction to the profitless. 32. By directing the mind to the right way from the wrong, it will take the right course, and so the vice versa. But, as human mind is as tender as a child, it must not be employed by force, but gentle measures. 33. The training of the child, like that of the mind, is effected slowly, by gentleness and indulgence, and not by force and hurry. 34. You have already by your constant practice, got a mastery over all your good and bad desires. You have hence forward to direct your tendencies to good only. 35. O victorious Rama! When by your pristine habits, you have an aptitude to do what is good, learn that it is the result of your good nature. 36. O sinless Rama, your desires are at present lying dormant in your mind, and require some practice, to be employed only to the doing of good. 37. If you will not exert yourself, at present to improve your dormant desires by constant practice, you can never expect to be happy. 38. When it is doubtful to know the nature of the innate propensity, do you incline to what is good, and as you thrive in this, you shall have no evil to fear. 39. Whatever one practices, he becomes perfect in that, in time. As studying from childhood makes the learned free from error. 40. When you have the goodwill in you, you must accomplish your purpose, by means of your activity, and subjection of the organs of your body. 41. So long as your mind is imperfect and unacquainted with the state of divine truth, you must attend to your teacher, books and reasoning, and act according to their directions, in the paths of truth. 42. Having first finished your acts, and known the truth, you must abandon even your meritorious deeds, and all your desires with them. 43. Having known by your good understanding, that the virtuous course, led by honorable men is truly good, give particular attention, to know the nature of God, then forsake even that, inquiry, and remain, silent, as a saint, Muni. Chapter 10. Dissension of Knowledge. 1. Vasistha resumed. This thing, called destiny, is as true as the reality of God. It is the cause of causes, and effect of effects. It is an attribute of God. 2. Now, attend to my words and depend on your exertions, and intently apply your ever-confident mind to the attainment of your chief good. 3. Try your exertions to turn to your subjection the misleading senses from pursuing their objects. 4. I will now propound to you a code, containing of the essence of the best means of liberation, which will confer the fruits of your exertions, and lead you to your welfare in both worlds. 5. Let them that have great minds, forsake their worldly desires in order to avoid their future births, and attend to these lectures, with calm contentment, in their minds. 6. Weigh well the meanings of the antecedent and subsequent propositions, repress your mind from its worldly cares, and dispose yourself to equanimity, for its inquiry after truth. 7. Hear me relate to you, Rama, the way to emancipation, which will remove your feelings of pain and pleasure, and become the surest means to lead you to supreme happiness. 8. On hearing this lecture, on liberation in the company of all those reasonable men, you will know that highest state, which is free from pain, and of which there is no termination. 9. This was spoken of old, in a former Kalpa age by Brahma abiding in the Supreme Spirit. It is the remover of all anxiety and giver of all comfort to the soul. 10. Rama asked, saying, Say, O Brahman, that art my guide, what cause moved Brahma himself of old to reveal this knowledge, and in what manner was it obtained by you? 11. Vasishta replied, The Supreme Soul of infinite manifestations exists by itself. It passes through and supports the whole in the form of vacuity and understanding, and as light to all living beings. 12. From him who remains the same, unaltered being, in his rest and motion, the great Vishnu was born, like a moving wave, on the quiet waters of the sea. 13. Then was Brahma, produced from the lotus of his heart, having the Mount Mu for its pericarp, and the points of the compass for its petals, and the stars for its pistils. 14. He, being beset by gods and sages, acquainted with the Vedas and their significations, created all the worlds and the minds, with their various thoughts. 15. He, then created the groups of men in the Bharata division, India, in a corner of Jambudvipa, Asia, and subjected them to all manner of diseases and afflictions. 16. They are also troubled, with the possession and want of many things, and their subjection to dangers and diseases. Here all species of created beings are subjected to a variety of tribulations and afflictions. 17. The Lord and Creator of worlds, seeing the misery of these people, felt compassion for them, as a father does for his children. 18. He then pondered within himself, for a moment, with intensity of thought, and for the good of all creatures, how to exterminate the misery of these beings who were subjected to death and despair. 19. With this thought, the Lord God, Brahma, established himself the rules of austerity, piety, charity, veracity and pilgrimage. 20. Having established these, the Lord and Creator again thought within himself, how to make an end of the many miseries of the men he had created. 21. He thought upon self-extinction, as the supreme bliss, which was obtainable only through a knowledge of the deity, and whereby man might be exempted from repeated births and deaths. 22. It was divine knowledge, he thought, the only means of men's crossing over the ocean of this world. But austerity, charity and pilgrimage were no means to it, but mere preparatives to knowledge. 23. Upon this said he, I will immediately make a new and sure bridge for the salvation of men and for their liberation from pain. 24. Having thought so, the Lord Brahma sitting on the lotus, meditated in his mind, and produced me from himself. 25. Being thus produced, I stood forthwith in the presence of my progenitor, as a wave rising from the sea, leans towards it. 26. I then bowed down to the god who held a water pot in one hand and a rosary in the other, with a pitcher and a bead of seeds in my either hand, and was thus addressed by him. 27. Come my son, said he, and then holding me with his hand, made me sit on the northern petal of his lotus of truth, which shone as bright as the moon amidst the silvery clouds. 28. Wearing the skin of an antelope, Brahma my father, spoke to me, who was in the like habit, with the voice of a gander addressing a stork, that is, a talkative person addressing a mute one. 29. He said, I will for a moment overpower thy fickle-mindedness under a mist of insensibility, as a dark cloud overshadows the disk of the moon. 30. It was under this imprecation that I lost my reason and forgot everything, even the clear idea I had of God. 31. I then became as helpless as one out of his wits, and came to be afflicted with distress and sorrow, like an indigent person. 32. Ah, woeful is this world, said I, and how came evil to dwell in it? With these thoughts, I remained in silence, pondering on the origin of evil. 33. Then he, my father, spoke to me saying, Ah, my son, why art thou so afflicted? Ask of me the remedy for thy affliction, and thou shalt become happy. 34. Then the Lord, Creator of all peoples, was asked by me, seated as I had been on the gold-colored leaflet of the lotus, about the medicine for worldly woes. 35. How came, said I, O my Lord, this world to be so full of misery, and how can people get rid of it, is what I ask of thee, to know. 36. I then learnt the most holy wisdom, which Brahman my father delivered to me, and following his advice, I became quite composed, in my mind. 37. Then, the Creator of the world and Revealer of all causes, seeing me knowing the knowable, and restored to my own natural state, said. 38. I had turned thee to insanity, my son, by an illusion, in order to make thee an inquirer into the essence of true knowledge, for the welfare of mankind. 39. Now, art thou released from the curse of illusion, and arrived to thy highest state of understanding. Thou hast become, as one soul, with the Supreme, and art as pure gold, after its purification from dross. 40. Now, shut thy heart against the world, and proceed to the land of Bharata, on the surface of the earth for the good of mankind. 41. There employ thyself to ceremonial duties to the best of thy knowledge, and advise others to ritual acts in their proper order, of exoteric faith. 42. But, such as are disgusted with the world, in their hearts, and are rational, with their elevated understandings, are to be counselled to esoteric knowledge which confers true felicity, to man. 43. Being thus appointed, by him who was born in the lotus, I continue to abide herein throughout the succession of beings. That is, for ages. 44. I have no duty to perform here, but live, while I have to live free from all cares. I do my acts, always with as tranquil a mind as it were in a state of sleep, I do my works with the body. But I do nothing here, with my soul, which is fixed in God. Chapter 11. On the qualifications of the inquirer and lecturer. 1. Vasishta continued. I have thus related to you, fully about the descent of knowledge on earth, with the reason of my birth, and the intention of the lotus-born Brahma, in making me his apostle. 2. Now Rama, as you are eager to learn the transcendental knowledge, and feel so great an anxiety for it in your mind, it must be the effect of your pristine merit. 3. Rama said, how was it, sir, that the Supreme Lord felt a desire to send down knowledge on earth, after his creation of it, and not along with it? 4. Vasishta replied, this Brahma is in his own nature the same with the Supreme Brahm, and is born in him, as a billow is born of the waters of the deep. The co-eternal Logos. 5. This great Lord saw the imperfection of his creation, and saw its whole course, at one view, in times past, present and future. The perversion of mankind subsequent to their fall. 6. He saw the decay of ceremonial rites, after the end of the Satya, Golden, and other ages, and considering the error, to which men were to fall afterward, he felt pity for their states, for want of sacrifices. 7. Then, the Lord thought of endowing me with true knowledge, and sent me on the surface of the earth, for dispelling the ignorance of mankind. 8. Like me, he has sent also some other great sages here, as Sanat Kumara, Narada and many others also. 9. He has sent them all for the redemption of mankind, from the fetters of their ignorance by a series of meritorious acts, and their progress and divine knowledge also. 10. These great sages, seeing at the end of the past golden age, the gradual decay of the holy ritualistic rites on earth. 11. They created the rulers of earth, at different divisions of the land, for regulating the course of duties, and observing their proper limits of action. 12. They have made many works on the traditional law and sacrificial rules to be observed on earth, and many appropriate provisions for the accomplishment of religious and temporal duties, in the Smritis. 13. But in the revolution of time, all these duties became slack in their course, and men have no other thought, except that of seeking their daily maintenance. 14. Every day, disputes are rising among the landowners on account of their estates and properties, and the people are subjected to various penalties in large numbers. 15. In such a state, it is not possible for the rulers to rule over their states without fighting with one another, when they with their subjects are inevitably reduced to wretchedness, by warfare. 16. In order to remove the impotence of such princes, and to lead them to a comprehensive view of things, we have prescribed to them many excellent precepts of knowledge. 17. It was the spiritual knowledge which had been at first propounded to princes. But it came afterwards, to be known under the title of royal science, polity. 18. This royal science is of a recondite nature, and is also the best kind of spiritual knowledge. Many kings have been set beyond the reach of calamity, by a knowledge of this science. 19. It is after many such fair-famed princes that have gone by, that your mighty self was begotten by the present King Dasaratha. 20. O slayer of your enemies, I find a very agreeable and holy kind of apathy, growing spontaneously in your most clear understanding. 21. There is another kind of cold-heartedness, O Rama, which is caused by some sorrow, in the minds of the virtuous and reasonable men, that is styled their casual indifference. 22. But your unprecedented and astonishing apathy, which is produced without any cause and by your reason only, is called real stoicism by the wise. 23. Seeing the obnoxiousness of worldly things, what man will not grow averse to them? The best displacency to them, is what rises in the mind of one from his own judgment. 24. They are reckoned, as great men and greatly wise also, whose indifference springs without any cause, of detestation to the world, and whose minds are clear, of all gloomy thoughts. 25. 1. Whose mind feels a disgust, to the world, from its own judgment, and nice discrimination, of things, is as graceful to see as the youthful bridegroom adorned with chaplets of flowers. 26. They are esteemed, as the best of men, who betake themselves to indifference after judicious consideration of the worldly troubles. 27. It must be by one's repeated and judicious examination, of the inward and outward illusions, of this world, that he should forcibly withdraw himself from them. 28. Who is there, that feels not an aversion to worldliness at the doleful sight of a funeral event? It is that aversion, however, which is born of itself that is highly commendable. 29. I see, you are sincerely indifferent, and reaching the acme of true greatness. You are worthy of the best knowledge, as is the moist earth of receiving the seeds. 30. It is by the grace of the Lord God and Supreme Spirit, that a lucky understanding like yours, naturally inclines to reason. 31. It is by performance of ritual duties and observance of the prescribed rules, that the demerits of former births are expunged. 32. Upon expurgation of former demerits, the understanding turns of itself, to take cognizance of spiritual matters, like the simultaneous flight of the crow towards the falling fruit of the palm. 33. But those that are devoted only to ritual acts, are like persons plunged in an eddy, wherein they are whirled up and down until they come to perceive the state of supreme felicity. 34. Seeing this illusory state of the world, a man must shake off the delusion of his worldly mindedness, just as the elephant breaks loose from his fetters. 35. It is too intricate, O Rama, to understand the course of this boundless world, and not even the greatest of embodied beings, as man, can know it without true knowledge. 36. Know, O support of Raghu's race, that men of great understandings have got over the unaffordable ocean of the world, by means of the raft of their knowledge and reason. 37. Now hear with attention and steadiness of your mind, this rational knowledge for your deliverance, from the flood of this world. 38. The unceasing excitements of the senses and the fears and miseries of the world, will continually disturb the mind, without the remedy of right reason. 39. There is naught, beside rational knowledge, that can enable holy men to endure the afflictions of the opposite extremes, of heat and cold and wind and rain. 40. The incessant cares and miseries which befall to men at every step, serve sometimes, to torment the ignorant mind as a flame of fire burns away the straw. 41. But, the troubles of this world cannot afflict the wise man, who knows the knowable, and discerns all things, in their true light. Just as it is impossible for the flame of fire, to burn down a wood drenched by the rains. 42. The man knowing the truth resembles the firm arbor of the oak, kalpa, which no whirlwind of disease or distress, raised by the hot winds of this desert of the world, has the power to upset. 43. The intelligent man, who has a mind to know the truth, must diligently serve his wise preceptor, with loving regard. 44. The sayings of the well-minded preceptor, who is asked about anything, must be carefully preserved in the mind, as a piece of fine muslin receives the dye, with which it is dyed. 45. O best of the eloquent, you must not receive the instruction of one unacquainted with truth himself. Whoever asks him anything is the greatest of fools. 46. Whoever does not carefully attend to the words of the truth-telling preceptor, who is asked about anything, is the basest of men. 47. He is the best inquirer, who makes his inquiry of one after ascertaining by his deeds, whether he knows the knowable or not. 48. But he is reckoned a vile inquirer, and incapable of knowing great things, who makes a boyish query, without ascertaining the lecturer's qualifications. 49. The wise man, when asked, will reply to him, who is able to comprehend the antecedent and subsequent propositions, and is possessed of a good understanding. But he should make no answer to a vile brutish being. 50. The preceptor, who gives his lecture without examining the capacity of the inquirer to grasp his meaning, is pronounced unwise by the learned. 51. O delight of Raghu's race! This, our meeting is a very congenial one and well adapted to each other, wherein you as inquirer are an admirer of virtue, and I the speaker, am well acquainted with the subject. 52. You, that understand the meaning of words, should well consider all what I tell you, and take them to your heart. 53. You are truly great and disgusted with the world, and know the truth among mankind. Whatever is spoken to you must be impressed in your mind as the red dye on muslin. 54. You, by your attention to what I say and discrimination of spiritual matters, can make your understanding receive my instruction as the waters reflect the sunlight. 55. Receive all that I say, and store them diligently in your mind. Or else, it is useless to ask me anything. 56. The mind, O Rama, is as fickle as an ape in the forest. Correct it carefully and attend to spiritual instruction. 57. Keep yourself always from the injudicious and ignorant, and those addicted to the company of wicked people, and honor the virtuous. 58. It is by association with good people that we can gain wisdom, which resembles a tree, yielding the fruits both of enjoyment and liberation, that is, both of worldly and future good. 59. There are 4 guards, said to keep watch at the gate of liberation, namely, peace, judgment, contentment and the society of the good. 60. All these, or 3 or 2 of them are to be attended with care, because they shall open to you the door leading to the abode of liberation. 61. Or at least one of them is to be resorted to with diligence and even at the expense of one's life. Because by securing one of these, a man can reconcile and gain all the 4 to his favor. 62. The wise man is the receptacle of all sastras and srutis, of all knowledge and austerity, and is a gem on earth, as the sun is the receptacle of light, and gem of heaven. 63. The dull understanding of the senseless man becomes as stiff as a motionless block, and like the frozen water, becoming as hard as stone. 64. Your good nature and good qualities, O Rama, and the counsels of the learned in the sastras, have made you sit here, with a heart blooming like lotus at the rising sun. 65. Your lifted ears, to hear these wise lectures, have enabled you to repress your thoughts, as the music of the lute attracts the mind of the deer. 66. Now secure, O Rama, the treasures of peace and good nature, by your practice of indifference of which there is no decay. 67. Your knowledge of the attainment of liberation will be increased by your attending to the sastras and the society of good men, as also by your practice of austerity and self-subjection. 68. You must know that it is the study of divine knowledge, with a clear understanding, that is a sure remedy against ignorance. 69. Know this world to be a poisonous plant and seat of dangers. It infects the ignorant at all times, unless one will take the pains to dispel his darkness. 70. Avarice accompanied by ignorance moves within the heart in a serpentine course, and expands and contracts it by turns, like the bellows of a blacksmith. 71. The true light of things dawns only in the minds of the wise, as the gentle moon appears to sight only in the clear and cloudless sky. 72. He is truly called a man who can judge the truth by the major and minor propositions, whose mind is expanded and fraught with brilliant ingenuity. 73. Rama. The clear wisdom of your mind makes you shine as the full moon, dispelling the darkness of the cloudless sky by her cooling and translucent beams,